This video is brought to you by HalloCasa. Our tool transforms independent local real estate agents to global real estate agents. Create your own profile for free and get contacted by international investors. Sign up with the link in the description. Hello and welcome everyone to our 196th session of HalloCasa. My name is Michael and today I'm talking to Ashwinder Singh from Bangalore in India. Ashwinder is the chairman of the CII Committee on Real Estate North Region, vice president at the BCD Group and advisor to the National Association of Realtors in India. With decades of leadership experience spanning top roles such as CEO of Bhartiya Urban, JLL Residential and ANAROCK, Ashwinder brings unparalleled insight into the Indian real estate market, startups ecosystem and sustainable development. He also is a prolific author with books like Master Residential Real Estate and the A to Z of residential real estate, guiding buyers and professionals through the complexity of the market. Beyond real estate, Ashwinder advises cutting-edge startups in fintech and PropTech, bridging traditional industries with tomorrow's technologies. Today we'll unpack his journey, the future of real estate in India, and what it takes to innovate and lead in this rapidly evolving sector. Ashwinder, thank you so much for coming to the show. I hope I did a okay introduction, obviously showing all your credentials. Thank you so much for calling in today. Why don't you introduce yourself to our audience with your own words?
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for this lovely introduction. Very excited to be part of this conversation with you. I'm Ashwinder Singh, currently Vice Chairman and CEO of BCD Group and Chairman of the CII Real Estate Committee. Over the last 2 decades, I've had the privilege of leading some of India's most forward-thinking real estate companies, from co-founding ANAROCK, now India's largest independent residential services firm, to being the CEO of JLL Residential and the CEO of Bhartiya Urban, which is one of the largest integrated townships of Bangalore and India. My journey spans banking, PropTech, and urban development with a constant focus on clarity, execution, and trust. Well, as you said, I also write best-selling books on real estate, and I serve on the advisory boards across fintech, crypto, and PropTech. For me, real estate is more than a profession. It's a way to shape lives, cities, and futures. And I'm also the advisor to NAR India.
Jumping directly into the situation right now, how would you describe right now, if you can, in a nutshell, summarizing the residential real estate market in India, especially maybe also from a foreigner's perspective?
Well, if I have to summarize in 3 words, it is young, aspirational, and undersupplied. India has the largest population of the first-time home buyers in the world. These are educated, digitally savvy, value-conscious individuals seeking more than just a square footage. They want lifestyle, security, and long-term value, Michael. We are also witnessing a reverse migration into smaller cities, which we call the tier 2 and tier 3 cities, driven by a lot of infrastructure upgrades is going on in India, a lot of work on roads is going on, and there's been a lot of remote work that came in after COVID. So for a foreign investor or an observer, this is India's most interesting decade, where real estate is not only a big GDP contributor, but it's going through a cultural evolution.
Can you like maybe pick some of those, especially maybe tier 2, tier 3 cities where you say, hey, that's actually right now interesting. We see a lot of movement because we have an ecosystem of universities, maybe startups, which right now hire a lot. Maybe other factors where you say, this is actually right now we see like sort of like a lot of young people flocking into these kind of cities.
Oh, yes, there are a lot of these cities that have come up. You have Mysuru, which is very near where I am. Then you have Indore in central India. You have Nagpur again in central India. You have Lucknow on the central eastern part of India. You have Jaipur on the northwestern side of India. You have a tri city, Chandigarh, Mohali, Panchkula, which is on the northern side of India. I can carry on and on because these are some of the top tier two cities which are really coming up. Job employment is there, infrastructure is there, and new airports, and a lot of interesting stuff happening there.
Yeah, and me being European, probably one of those tier two and tier three cities have a higher population than some of the European countries. Now,
Yes, well, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
now, maybe even looking from there already into the future a little bit. Let's say, I mean, you have led some of the biggest real estate companies, and now you chair the CII Real Estate Committee. How do you now also discuss this internally, this topic, to say, how is it going through the next 5 to 10 years, and how can you maybe also combat the undersupply? What are their methods and projects being undertaken in order to serve exactly this psychographic?
Well, India in the next 10 years needs around 10 million homes. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done in terms of managing the undersupply, but it is a good problem to have from a real estate industry standpoint, and there's been a lot of progress also. India is entering a structural growth phase in real estate, and next decade will redefine how we live, how we invest, how we build. Currently, India, to give you a perspective, is at around $500 million of market size, and it's going to double in the next 5 years and become $1 trillion. So you can imagine the growth that is expected in the next 5 years. Forget about the decade, and the market is going to double. And the key shifts that you have to watch, number one, which I shared previously, it's the tier two, tier three city expansion, which is fueled by expressways, airports, smart city programs. Number two, sustainable regulation, green ratings, and ESG compliance will become mainstream. Sustainability is already an important topic that gets discussed, executed, implemented, and strategized. Institutional capital is going to play a key role. Domestic as well as global investors are entering at a scale via REIT and other platforms. You have the Blackstones of the world, Brookfields of the world, Capital Lands of the world having huge, huge interest in the Indian real estate market across most of the verticals. Uh, REITs is now pretty stable, and I expect more REITs to come in, which will really disrupt the commercial market. Well, the digital ecosystems, whether it is AI, data, PropTech, will drive efficiency and consolidation. Uh, Last but not the least, there's something that I'm very uh, interested about, which is affordable luxury. The India's middle class is growing, Michael, and that is our biggest strength. And so is their appetite growing for better design and quality. And this is not going to be a cyclical thing. It is going to be completely transformational and really exciting times for India in the next 5 to 10 years, and a great opportunity for the world to come and participate in this growth story.
You just mentioned a couple of elements, and I would like to unpack some of them. You mentioned Blackstone, you mentioned REITs, you mentioned luxury, you mentioned sustainable and also affordable. First question here. the access to mortgages to the financial system, is that difficult in India for, let's say, an average person, blue collar, working 9 to 5? Is that accessible, or is it almost non-accessible or non-attainable because you don't get like the 20% down because the financial system doesn't give it? Or are there even maybe some governmental um, subsidies, some projects? Can you give me some information there?
Well, now it's pretty accessible. You have home lending companies. Well, I've worked in a home lending company as the group head, one of India's largest NBFCs, Bajaj Finance. So I understand the mortgage space as a practitioner, as a domain professional. You have all kinds of mortgage companies, and there are mortgage companies which are focused on only tier 2, tier 3 cities, and they are focusing on affordable housing. So, from that perspective, India is pretty developed as far as accessibility of lending, borrowing is concerned for blue collared. It's been there for the last decade or so. So that's not an issue. Whether it's about personal loans, whether it's about mortgages, there are a lot of structured professional outlets, companies, a lot of startups which are also into crowdfunding, which fund these segments.
The other element which you mentioned is sustainable and luxury development. It often seems like sort of like contrasting goals sometimes. How do you balance these along your priorities in your role with the BCD Royal?
This is my favorite question. Because I look at luxury very differently. We at BCD believe that true luxury today is conscious luxury. I don't think luxury is about marbles and related stuff. That's a very old thought process, according to me. Today, we are developing premium projects that are beautiful and breathable. For me, sustainability and luxury are hand in hand. A project that is not sustainable, it can have the best commercial aspects or the best specs. To my mind, it is never luxury, because you know for me, luxury is having native trees, natural light, renewable energy, circular water use, and which are actually integral to the design. Luxury is no longer about an Italian marble or some fancy paint. Well, that's okay if it is there. It's about how the space makes you feel secured, energized, aligned, an integrated township. You can walk to work, you can walk to school, you can walk to office, you can walk to a mall, you can walk to a hotel. You look at Switzerland, you guys keep on walking in Europe, and if the weather is good, why not? So we work with global architects and green consultants to ensure our development reduces environmental impact without compromising on elegance or comfort, which is also important in luxury. And the best part is, Michael, today's buyers, especially the global Indian, uh, demands this balance. And why only global Indian? Even the Indians staying in India, starting from a middle class uh, um, segment, which is looking for $100,000 kind of a home, they want purpose with their privilege. So times are changing. Times are changing, and the way we at BCD look at luxury, uh, I'm very clear how we want to look at luxury, and it's getting appreciated.
I like the way you are saying it. Basically, seeing luxury from an entire ecosystem point of view, from a neighborhood system point of view. It doesn't make sense if you are living in your castle and you go out and you are afraid to get robbed or get stabbed, but you have your Mercedes behind the walls. It is about we are all breathing. We have 24 hours in a day. You're breathing the same air. You are eating the same food,
Yeah.
and you need to make sure that you can ride your bicycle and want to have like basically a pleasant environment, which is in the end sound, air, uh, pleasant people around you who also spread with their radiance a good energy because they're happy themselves. And if you go out of your castle and everyone is in full on misery, there's no pleasant life. Do you agree a little bit with this?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's why I said for me, luxury is absolutely, and one of the things I like about Europe is this aspect. Every place has its own benefits, strengths, weaknesses, challenges, opportunities, and threats. But you have to have inclusive luxury. You can't have this the old. Well, there are people who still think an Italian marble or a fancy bathroom or a fancy painting is luxury. Maybe I am the odd one out and I think like this because I still feel I'm the odd one out, and some people don't find me very practical. But I feel the burgeoning, the large Indian middle class home buyer kind of aligns with my thought process. They appreciate it. They also feel that, I'm able to empathize with them because everybody can't have $1 million home. Everybody can't have a $2 million home. And everybody deserves a great, comfortable lifestyle. And luxury is also about comfort, and comfort comes from daylight, from breathable spaces, from beautiful parks, gardens, trees, and landscaping, which is native, which you don't have to really work very hard to take care of those landscapes. The landscapes and the hardscapes kind of managing everything near a walking distance. That's the way I look at it, because people want to differentiate themselves with something which is unaffordable, and making something unaffordable as luxury. Well, there's nothing wrong in thinking like this, because if you are saying that luxury is only about having lots of money and buying something which is unaffordable, well, that's a thought process which has been there for ages. But I feel that the world is really changing. The new generation itself looks at things very differently, Michael.
You just mentioned new generation, and also before you mentioned crowdfunding and mentioned the startup ecosystem before a little bit. I mean, you have been involved quite deeply with startups, PropTech, firms like Transact app. You have been involved very deeply with. How do you think the new generation along the technology is reshaping India in terms of maybe processes, apps? Making the entire prop space maybe different, and also real estate overall.
Well, you've done some very good research about me. I'm very happy that we are discussing these things. So, we are living through a real estate renaissance, which is powered by technology, Michael. So there are, sustainability is one pillar and technology is the other pillar. And the third pillar is the community. That's what real estate for me actually is. And you mentioned it very nicely when you said that I'm talking about ecosystems. So the real estate ecosystem is based on community, technology, and sustainability. So that's the way I look at it. Transact app, for example, digitizes the fragmented broker ecosystem, which is huge in India, offering verified leads, digital closings, and performance tracking for real estate agents, uh, which is a big problem that they are solving. It's an AI-driven CRM tool that's improving conversion rates and customer targeting. Drone surveys, 3D walkthroughs are making site visits actually redundant in today's world, and that's what they are also trying to do. Uh, and one of the things on the technology side that's happening is RERA is the regulatory body that regulates the real estate ecosystem in India. There are a lot of RERA linked APIs that are improving title, uh, stroke ownership transparency and buyer confidence. which India was struggling maybe 4 or 5 years back or a decade back or before RERA came, because RERA's been just here, is going to complete a decade in the next couple of years. And before that, there was no regulator in India. So India skipped many legacy stages and jumped straight to mobile first, cloud first real estate operations. PropTech is no longer a vertical, according to me. It's becoming an invisible infrastructure behind every transaction, because you can't operate in real estate without the support of technology. And if you're doing that, I don't think you are really in line with the times and the new home buyer or the new client which is there, who's very tech savvy.
And this basically already also has positive spillover effects to the end consumer and to the entire society, because you are able to close the deal faster, more safely, more transparently, and you don't have to basically like navigate your way around maybe non-trustworthy real estate agents, and you lose money or you lose time whatsoever. So basically, potentially you can even measure the positive GDP on this one, because money is, being transacted faster and the turnover is faster. Talking about crypto, because you also like are very involved in blockchain, and me myself, I've always thought about, could we not put the entire land registry, imaginary land registry of the world on the blockchain? Me coming from Germany, we have a very strong land registry. Everything is documented since centuries. What's your involvement there? Maybe for the audience, first question. And also there, where do you see the entire blockchain and crypto helping PropTech and real estate?
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Kudos to you for asking such wonderful questions. Uh, Definitely, uh, I am proudly advising BitSave, which is India's first crypto index platform licensed to track the Bloomberg Galaxy Crypto Index. Now, BitSave is an amazing company, and I'm very proud of them. BitSave allows Indian investors to access a diversified basket of digital assets with the simplicity of mutual funds. It's transparent, it's very compliant, and brings a good long-term discipline in a relatively volatile space, because crypto is a relatively volatile space. So for me, BitSave and my involvement with them, it's a blueprint for how digital assets can be made mainstream in a very safe manner. Michael, they are doing very well. Uh, Coming to your blockchain question, in real estate, what blockchain can do? It can tokenize ownership, enabling fractional investments. It can streamline due diligence, as you were talking about, not just registration or registry records, but other transactions that happen. And how does it streamline due diligence? Through smart contracts and land ledgers that you've been telling. And what blockchain also does is it creates instant liquidity, and it reduces the transaction friction and brings about a lot of governance, because you can't keep on changing things in blockchain because it is all also decentralized. So that's what blockchain does. However, its adoption in India will depend on more regulatory clarity and investor trust. So we are going through that journey, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done there still. There's a lot of many governments are working on digitizing land records. In India, real estate is a decentralized subject, and we have 30 states, union territories, uh, more countries, more states than more countries in Europe. It's a very diverse country, And we are laying the rails now, and India may lead the way in merging physical and digital asset ownership in times to come. I'm very sure about it.
That's actually a very good segue to my next follow-up question here. I mean, prior to our call, I Googled Indians leading real estate thought leaders, and you popped up as number one on Google, also in Switzerland. And I am wondering there, since you are a top voice in India, do your first question, do you do some lobby work maybe with the government or the respective states? And where do you see the conversation basically right now happening regarding openness towards crypto, towards blockchain on a federal level? I'm asking because 2 days ago, yesterday, I had Mark Taverna from Switzerland, or from the UK. He's operating in Switzerland, and he is allowing crypto payments in for real estate with his company. So, and I asked him, where do you see geographically like a very good way to make business with crypto? And he pointed obviously to Switzerland. That's why he incorporated the company there. Now I'm asking you, because you're the expert regarding India, is there this discussion happening? Where do you also see right now the situation, also from a political standpoint and from the government?
Oh, well, as I said, I am the chairman of CII Real Estate, and this is a very important conversation, and we continue to have it. We have a department run by very senior bureaucrats. It's called the DPIIT, where we are talking about a lot about ease of doing business. You've just seen a great trade deal with UK that happened yesterday. That India has done. It is again, so we are really discussing a lot of these things, and everything, all of this falls into the ease of doing business, whether it is blockchain, whether it is acceptability of crypto. Crypto is very well accepted. You can transact, you have to pay a tax on it. So the moment, an asset gets covered on the tax uh, uh, platform, it is a legal asset. Well, we might not be as uh, open as the maybe the Western world or the US, but with so many institutions now investing in bitcoins, ether, India is falling in line. Blockchain is important. We have a strong technology ecosystem. So all of these discussions are happening at the highest level in India. I've been representing many such conversations with our, respected ministers and the bureaucracy. Our bureaucracy is very smart, very good, very understanding, and there's a lot of work that is happening in the on the background, and you will soon see many of these things, becoming a way of life in the real estate ecosystem in India.
You being an author and yeah, having written so many highly influential books for buyers and also professionals alike, what are, in a couple of words, your top three mistakes maybe you see buyers commonly do, and maybe they're different in India than when I ask people from the US, UK, or Germany? Maybe especially regarding residential, because that's also like your main focus there.
Well, I always say that the biggest mistake people do is they're falling in love too fast. Their emotions come before the due diligence, which leads to poor choices. So, always check legal titles, approvals, and the location and the developer track record. Second, I think what I've seen is people have this habit of overstretching the budget. I don't, propose that. you know Many ignore many related costs, which are indirect costs, whether it is the registration cost, taxes, interior costs, future EMIs, etc. And the third is, some focus on the brand, they don't focus on the location, and some focus just on the location and they don't focus on the brand. So, having a very 360-degree perspective, focusing on both the brand and the location is important, and people make that mistake. So I often say, uh, I feel home is an emotional decision, but it's also a financial decision. So you need the right brain and the left brain operating in balance.
This reminds me of my deep conversation which I had with Jacqueline Dunce a couple of days ago, where she was really pointing out and playing a bit like devil's advocate and seeing a bit more critical, saying, listen, qualify. I am as a broker, I need to qualify. You come to me, we check your budget, and I want you to be happy with that real estate also 20 years from now, and not when the market goes down and you lose everything because you're overstretched. And it's not a gamble, it is a life decision. And you don't want to be awake all night every day because you're stressed that you cannot do the payments, or you are right now not being able to go to the theater anymore or whatsoever. Is that a little bit like also how you do it? Do you agree with this statement?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You need a home to relax, to have peace of mind after a day's challenge. You go home, whether you're staying alone or you're with your family, you want to put your legs up. So it doesn't matter to me. And this comes back, Michael, to the same point where I discussed what luxury is all about. And peace of mind is a very big luxury, you know and why overstretch and for whom? And people end up making that mistake. And I would definitely agree with everything that she said.
Coming to your current roles, I'm impressed, I must say. You are a strategy advisor, you're a mentor, you are on different boards, you are authoring books. Me, I feel like, I don't know if my day also has the same 24 hours like yours. I don't know, maybe you found some more hours in your day. How do you manage all these elements, and also being able to wear these different hats and change your context? I think this is sometimes a bit, challenging to say, okay, now I have to actually think like this, and who was this again? Is there any secret sauce you are applying in order to stay on top all the time?
Well, I also sing. I have my videos on YouTube where I have done three, four songs by a leading music label in India. Uh, so I thought, let me add one more aspect to the whole thing, because, I don't take myself too seriously, Franz, especially when you're an operating CEO and you go out and start singing. It's one of the courageous steps you can take. And I said, well, I'm going to take it because nobody's going to feed my family. So why should I be thinking about those people, especially if I want to do my hobby? And it's all about work life balance. And work life balance, to my mind, is about deep alignment and ruthless prioritization. If something doesn't align with my purpose to build trust, shape lives, uh, if it is not aligned with my passion, or if it is not looking forward towards innovation, I just say no. I don't do that. So there are a lot of things I say no to. Uh, I'm deeply involved where I feel I can contribute. The rest I delegate to capable team members. Uh, you know, I delegate ruthlessly. I prioritize ruthlessly, and I don't think I'm the smartest person in the room, because if you think that, your ability to delegate goes for a toss. Now everybody has read about Steve Jobs, where he says you hire people you hire the best talent and don't tell them what to do. But there are people who are not able to do that, because the moment you become a so-called CEO, and I say so-called CEO because CEOs have this tendency of taking themselves too seriously, because they think, oh my God, what have they achieved in life? And they also feel they must be better than others. Their ability to actually delegate goes down, because they don't trust other people's talent. And sometimes if they trust, they think, nobody's as smart as I am, and I would want to look at it. So I look at it very differently. And as I said, I have that ability to say no, I have that ability to delegate, and I have that ability to, uh, I think, figure out what is it that I'm going to do. And it is about deep alignment, ruthless prioritization, and ruthless focus. And one of the things I feel is, I come from an army background, and that has helped me. My father's been a legendary army officer who lost his life for the country. So there are a lot of learnings from his lifestyle. And I feel a spiritual routine also keeps me grounded. It's how I reset, reflect, realign, uh, even during chaos. There's a lot of chaos. I'm now an entrepreneur. It's not easy. There are a lot of challenges, but I've now learned to take things in my stride and just do everything that I love. I take out time for it, and everything that does not align with me, I just say no. And then I realize you have enough time to do a lot.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for this. This actually leads me to the next question regarding, let's say, yourself 20 years ago, 30 years ago. What tip would you maybe give like someone who's young, ambitious, and wants to make a change, especially right now in the emerging tech scene, in the competitive Indian industry? What do you think right now does it need for a young, really driven and ambitious person? Not saying that you are not anymore, but maybe sharing your wisdom here to someone a couple of years younger.
Well, I firmly believe, and you see this turban on my head, and this turban is less of style and more of responsibility. And I feel if you can't contribute to the younger generation, if you can't add value to from things that you've learned, if you can't do service and mentor people, it's no fun of being at a particular position, whatever that position, good, bad, ugly is. It's very important, because I tell them, focus on trust, not transactions. It's a cliche, but it works. It has worked for me, because our industry runs on timelines, ethics, human decisions. It's about people have invested their lifelong savings. So trust is very important. You need to know your numbers, and you need to know your buyers. And that's why I say the right brain and the left brain has to work. Numbers and buyers. You need to learn to listen, and you need to build a reputation before you chase scale. Don't rush. Build a reputation before you chase scale, because reputation compounds just like wealth does. And the beauty is, when reputation compounds, the way wealth can follow can be amazing, much more, much healthier than what we expect. Because wealth needs to be healthy also. It needs to add value to us, rather than we getting into wrong habits and getting overwhelmed, and so on and so forth. So I feel, build a reputation before you build a scale.
It's beautiful. I am remembered. You're remembering me to my first boss, who was originally from India, but he was my boss in Germany, and he had been living in Germany for a while. And he was the one telling me, slow down, it takes time. And I hated it. When you're young, you hate it because you don't want to wait. You think you know better, and you don't want to listen and stuff. And in the end, as you say, creating credibility, creating authenticity, authority, credibility, and trust. It just takes time. Now, coming also there towards the elements which you just mentioned regarding trust, human interactions, long-term relationships. Going to the topic of your advocacies and the CII Committee and also the National Association of Realtors, how important do you regard these institutions, and also where do you think are these activities and these institutions heading in India?
Well, Michael, policy is the bedrock, and you would agree. Without it, even the best developers can't scale impact. So I'm fortunate that I am in these roles as the chair of CII Real Estate Committee and advisor to NAR India. I work with developers, brokers, investors, regulators to drive reforms. Basically, I'm currently focusing on three, four things. One is land digitization. Second is taxes and stamp duty parity. I'm very passionate about incentives for green buildings and green development. And India is lagging behind rental housing. So I'm keen to work on rental housing policies, which is my next priority. And these forums are not just associations, they are ecosystem architects. I call them the architects of the ecosystem, actually, whether especially CII on the entire development ecosystem and NAR India on the entire channel partner ecosystem, because channel partners or brokers are the people who sell real estate and help developers with lots and lots of things. So these forums, as I said, are very important. And when India will build better policies, we will definitely build better homes. I don't know if it is vice versa or not.
Before you mentioned one very important topic, I believe it's the responsibility of you as a thought leader regarding acting out of ethics, high morals, being a role model towards the younger generation. And I came across, obviously, your LinkedIn profile, and I must say, you're one of the very, very few people who also puts, I don't know if I say it correctly, spiritual, religious posts there, who are not only about return on investment and this is the best sales strategy and I'm the best and blah, 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 but really allowing myself or triggering my thoughts on this is actually very deep. And even though this word of being deep is also, we have a tendency to lately overuse it. And I am ignorant. I don't know the story, but I did a bit of research, and there's the ancient story of Mahabharata, if I pronounce it correctly. And you said that Krishna was basically triggered. And in my words, I'm trying to rephrase it, and he could either act or react out of emotions, or he can respond with a calmness, removing his ego, and going a little bit into a thought process and make sure that balance and fairness is sort of restored or maintained instead of anger. Is that a way? Was I just being lucky, or was it just a coincidence that I just saw this post, or is that something which also reflects your way of thinking regarding leadership and the way you deal with interactions with others and planning your role model to be seen in a global aspect?
Michael, thank you for picking that up. And I'm really impressed with the way you've researched everything. Hats off to you. And I am sure you're going to do very well. I saw your website, you showed it to me, and there are a lot of things very detailed, done with a lot of passion. But coming back to this, the Mahabharata teaches us that true leadership is not about power and position. It's about as I call it, the three P's, which is power, patience, and perspective. Mahabharata is one of, which is part of our holy book in Hindus, Gita, which is one of the finest reference books, and you have so much to learn. Mahabharata, people misconstrue it about power and position. No, it's not. Krishna didn't fight, but he orchestrated. Krishna is a god. He is a very big, important god in India. I too follow him. He didn't fight, but he orchestrated the entire course of justice through vision and timing. So that's how I try to lead. Uh, well, when I say that how I try to lead, it does not mean I am like that. So I want to be calm. I don't want to be reactive. I do get reactive at times. I want to focus on the right conduct. I want to focus, and right conduct is called dharma. Dharma is right conduct. Dharma is also called religion, and dharma is also called right conduct. So I want to focus on dharma and not drama, as they say, because we see a lot of people focusing on drama. Well, do I end up doing drama sometimes? Maybe yes, I don't know. But maybe earlier I used to do more, and now I try and resist myself. And play the long game, even when others are chasing the headlines. Play the long game. I keep on repeating it because the long game is a shorter path to success. So ancient wisdom of Mahabharata has, helps me stay anchored to whatever extent I can. I have a lot of flaws. I'm not perfect. There's so much of improvement that I need to do. Well, I'm nowhere near where I should be, and I don't look at others. But where I want to be and where I am today, I think there is a huge, huge, long journey ahead. And in real estate, where every project is a battle of risk, capital, timelines, the kind of clarity becomes very priceless.
I read the book Bhagavad Gita in German. Is the Mahabharata part of it? So I
Yes, yes,
basically, okay, so I unknowingly actually read the book. That's actually interesting. So
yes,
fair enough.
yes.
However, in
Bhagavad,
German,
Bhagavad, Bhagavad Gita is the sermon that Lord Krishna is giving to the protagonist Arjuna
yeah,
on, on helping him clear his mind and bring more clarity. And because Krishna is the God, many people think he was very political. Well, he was political, but he did not have personal interest in that politics. The interest was of the well-being of the society.
how do you, what do you do when you don't act out of integrity? Or let's say integrity is maybe too strong, but when you find yourself after reflection and knowing, damn, I could have done that better. And it can sometimes be also almost self-deprecating to see, I am having these high standards on myself. I want to, be like morally very strong. But then you find, because we human beings, we are just not perfect. And you find yourself like more on the drama element and the less the hammer element. And you are finding yourself and say, why am I right now acting? And I'm asking this because I feel that you might have a huge advantage over probably also many people in the Western world, because in the Western world, we lost a lot of faith and a lot of principles. We don't know anymore what is right and wrong. So we don't have this strong backbone to say black, white, very, let's say, in a very religious way. And therefore, we are easier to be deceived by elements from the outer world because we can't use our judgment, our subconscious judgment anymore in order to instinctively say, no, thank you, this is not right. How do you, first question here, what's your view there? And then the question next one is like, how do you basically surrender maybe a little bit also to your imperfection?
Oh my God. See, this is the real discussion, and we can talk about real estate later. Uh, 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 you
I'm
know,
sorry.
no, actually, this is what I love, and I'm so thankful that we are discussing this. See, the reason you made a point about the West is because West became developed earlier, and developed means more money, and that is what money does to you. You become overconfident. And well, in the next 2 decades, if India becomes developed and people have more money, they might also start thinking, well, I don't need a god, I'm myself a god. So West had that thinking that, well, we are god, we have the money, we have the infrastructure, we have the economy going, we have the education, everything is going, our skin is white, everything is good, people love us, they want to migrate from Asia, Africa, other countries to our places. And that is where hubris sets in. It's all about hubris, Michael. And hubris sets into each one of us, even when we have not done much. Like, I have not done much, but I keep on reflecting and I say, well, this was hubris, Ashwinder. You got into hubris. And just the fact that you start talking to yourself and accepting that, yes, it was hubris, it was ego, one fine day you would be able to come out of it. So finally, it's about ego. When we get into drama, our ego takes over us. And when we get into dharma, we keep our ego aside and we say, okay, let it go. I will not even react and I'll move forward. Easier said than done, but just that we are discussing it, I think both of us are on a path where we don't want drama. Otherwise, you wouldn't have asked me that question. And we wouldn't have, come to this kind of a conversation in your, HalloCasa. Because it's all about managing your ego, and it's about, Michael, when we take a decision for the ecosystem, you will never be wrong. You will never feel guilty. When we take a decision for our selfishness, that is where we have a chance of going wrong. Are we going to ever get perfect? Not at all. But we can relatively improve by giving. See, money is important. I tell people money is big, but money is not the only thing. Status is big, but status is not the only thing. You know, I have reached a particular position and I've personally compromised on my health. And when I look back, I figure out that everything else is in my control but my health. So, as Jesus Christ said, Michael, what will you gain if you gain the whole world and lose your soul? Now, how many Christians follow that, right? Jesus Christ also said, in all thy way acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. He said, acknowledge Almighty, but the West has forgotten the Almighty, as you rightly said, because they started feeling resources are Almighty. Well, then resources are almighty. Today we see number of divorces in India have also increased. The families are splitting. There are very less joint families. There is anxiety issue, mental health issue. People are not knowing what to do. There are drugs. There's alcoholism and whatnot. And well, uh, it's all about chasing the wrong things.
And the beauty about it is that we have been taught this by most of the religions, basically. You cited Jesus Christ. We can go back to the Greek methodology with the Daedalus, with his wings out of wax, going too high to the sun, and then falling into the water, drowning. We can, every other religion we can basically say, and so they know already. And what we do right now, we just lost it because we want to have the fast thing. We get the anxiety, as you say, from FOMO, from scrolling through our apps and see all the other people seem to be so happy and we want it too. But basically losing ourselves and knowing that real happiness comes along purpose, comes along integrity. Here again, I can cite my first boss, Michael. Never forget that waking up every day in my 60s and 70s and looking into the mirror and not having the feeling that I have done something wrong or guilting myself, this is priceless. This is
Wow.
priceless because I acted out of integrity, moral standards. I don't lie. I don't steal money. I can take all the money from the company. Know what? I know my way. I can easily do it. But waking up and having this clean slate,
Yeah,
this is
because
priceless.
because anxiety is a function of your own conscience. That's why I said Krishna teaches you how to handle your conscience. So if you are being political for a larger purpose, no problems. But if you are being political for a selfish motive, to for a propaganda of your personal religion, personal business, personal well-being, and being biased, it's going to bring in the anxiety. So, and what your boss said is priceless. Maybe I will write about it one day.
And yeah, and I read a couple of Osho books, and it's exactly going there as well
Oh,
regarding regarding removing your ego. And my only challenge there is to say, where does ego finish and where does self-respect and self-love? Like, where's there the balance to say, hey,
I'll tell you, one of the things Osho teaches, and that is where, your life can change, Michael. He teaches that we should not have any guilt. Even if we have ended up doing something wrong, your guilt is your biggest enemy because that is what builds in the anxiety. So you keep on doing the wrong thing, your guilt keeps on increasing, but you again are not able to resist and you keep on doing because doing wrong is like a drug. Negativity is like a drug. It's more dangerous than cocaine, brown sugar, or blah 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 blah. The whole media thrives on negativity. The more negative things we see, the more we scroll. We don't scroll on somebody saving a child, we scroll on somebody murdering a child. That is what gets eyeballs. So negativity is a drug, and we subconsciously are doing negative things, doing unethical things, not focusing on integrity, focusing on money, 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 building wealth, building name, so on and so forth. Now what I'm saying is easy because words are cheap. So I can be saying anything, but I don't. You will say, "Yo, Ashwinder is saying this," but is he actually practicing or not? That only I know. That only I know. But coming back to Osho, what Osho taught was don't be guilty. Throw out your guilt. You are a human being. If you made a mistake, throw out your guilt. Move forward. And if you have done 10 wrong things, if you do 10 right things, they will quash those wrong things and your karma will become good. Because finally, it is about karma, it is about deeds, because that is where anxiety comes from. Otherwise, everybody would go on killing somebody or doing something wrong or stealing or being unethical. So, so it's all about Osho is amazing and he teaches about, you know, not being very tough on yourself also.
Ashwinder, I know your time is limited. Also know we could talk for probably like another 90 minutes. I learned a lot today. We started off with, your amazing career. You gave us insights regarding affordability, housing, Blackstone, the REITs, the basically financial landscape, which allows everyone to also obtain a mortgage. luxury regarding or versus sustainability. What is actually luxury? You gave us a very nice overview regarding the very strong young generation along the PropTech space, along the blockchain, what can be done there. Tips for home buyers, reciting your book there, and then also the way of you being so efficient and effective because you act out of pure alignment and ruthless prioritization. This is beautiful because I think there the element of definition of freedom is to prioritize and decide what to work on and who to work with, and being free in your decision making. The focus there, I thought back to Steve Jobs to say what is noise and what is focus, and just let's focus on the elements which which move the needle. And a strong authenticity. You mentioned that you want to basically listen to your heart and your calling and say, I want to do that, and that's why I do it. And being also able to delegate as a leader and knowing that you don't know everything. That way, go back to the Greek mythology by basically like citing Socrates and saying, hey, listen, I am also able to listen here. You then mentioned the tips for entrepreneurs to, embody these elements and also knowing that it takes time. And we wrapped it up with a very nice detour almost towards the morality, the unethical behavior, and the moral standards. Thank you very much, Ashwinder. I really appreciate the time with you today. Is there anything you would like to mention to the audience which we haven't touched upon?
No, I would just mention that this has been one of uh, very beautiful experiences talking to you, Michael. I think you're far more mature than your age, and you connected with me and you wanted to do a chat. And you would have seen I immediately said okay, because I am very fast in deciding. I don't want to. I don't kind of wait and I'll say, look, I'll look at my calendar, I'll come back to you, let me see, because that's hubris according to me. And you know, I people get very surprised when they find me so accessible and so quick and so easy. And a lot of people tell me, I should not be that easy and I should not be that accessible, because that's not how some of the important people operate. But then I tell them I'm not important, so let me operate the way I want to operate. And I'm so glad I said okay to you. And I'm so thankful that you got me on your show. I've got a friend in Switzerland now, so whenever we are in Switzerland, we'll let you know, and maybe have a drink together, have some nice cheese together, and spend some good time. And if you are in India, you have a friend in India. If you come to India, let me know, and I'll be happy to assist you.
Thank you very much, Ashwinder. Likewise, absolutely. And I just leave it like that. How can people reach out to you?
People can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty very much there, and that's an easy way to reach out to me. They can reach out to me through my website, which is www.ashwindersingh.com, which does the Open House newsletter, which is India's most followed real estate newsletter at this point in time. Between the open house and LinkedIn newsletter, we have around 20,000 followers on that newsletter. It's been regularly coming every Thursday, every week for the last 3 years. We've not skipped even 1 week for that. So they can leave their comments there. They can reach out to me on that. They can reach out to me on Twitter. They can reach out to me on I think any of these
I
mediums?
will put all those elements into the show notes so that people have the links directly. Ashwinder, thank you very much. Wish you a nice Friday afternoon, Friday evening, and I'm sending you the best regards and a big hug to Bangalore. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye. This video is brought to you by HalloCasa. Our tool transforms independent local real estate agents to global real estate agents. Create your own profile for free and get contacted by international investors. Sign up with the link in the description.